Hi, my name is Allie Stoddard and I own greenalleycbd.com, and I'm going to teach you about CBD and why it is so beneficial for us if we have back pain and or joint pain. And CBD is a molecule that we get from a plant, the cannabis plant. And it's not the kind that gets you high. It's the kind of the plant called the hemp plant. And the hemp plant has no THC in it, which means it can't get you high. But there are two main things about CBD that you need to know before you take it. And the first thing is CBD comes from a plant. And so when we ingest it, it's very natural. It's like digesting a vegetable. So it works very naturally in the body. It's not like a synthetic molecule, like a pharmaceutical, like a cortisone shot or something like that. Those are pharmaceuticals. Those are very deleterious to the body because they actually, over time, produce inflammation. CBD, because it comes from a plant, is natural and works naturally within the body. Now, of course, if it were a toxin, it would also produce inflammation. However, point number two, CBD or cannabidiol is a molecule that we already produce in our bodies. And when I say that, I mean we have a system, a regulatory system in our body that was discovered when they were doing research on cannabis. So we have an endocannabinoid system in our body that makes our own cannabinoids. We make CBD and we make THC in the body. So the cannabinoids, THC and CBD, that come from the plant are extremely helpful and useful and needed for this system. And guess what? The endocannabinoid system, it was discovered when they were researching pot. And this system is in charge of our nervous system, our lymphatic system, which is our detox. And when we're talking about joint pain, when we're talking about back pain, we're talking about nerves and we're talking about detox. So we get a lot of neurotoxicity, a lot of inflammation that's built up in our bodies from different things, from foods, from environmental toxins, from our cosmetics, from our injuries. And so CBD, when we take in CBD, it feeds this endocannabinoid system. And when we feed the endocannabinoid system, then your nervous system starts to be balanced. Then the back pain starts to be balanced. Then the nerves become less inflamed. And I'll go into that in a little bit. But for right now, CBD, when it comes from the plant, is very natural. The body's looking for it already in this set of receptors that we have. There are receptors in every organ in the body and even in our skin. And so when we have back pain, for instance, when we start taking CBD in, those receptors that are looking for CBD will actually start to grow in the back. So wherever the pathology is, that's where the receptors are going to grow. So where your pain is, you start taking in CBD, and this endocannabinoid system is going to start producing more receptors, so the CBD that you bring into the body will be more effective. So let's go into the plants. So here I have the plant right here. This is one plant, and you can see it's starting to grow buds. But this is a CBD plant. It's a hemp plant, and it smells like pot. The smell around it, there are so many smells, peppery, lemony, linalool. There's like, I don't know, 400 different what they call terpenes, and that's the smell you get. Well, those terpenes are important for uplifting, for reducing inflammation, for anticonvulsant, antispasmodic, antiviral, antibacterial. So the different components to the plants And these things have, what they have are little buds, and on the buds are what we call trichomes, and the little clumps of oil. That's the oil that they extract from this plant, and then they make it into a tincture or a cream or a gummy. But that oil is like the fish oil we get, omega-3 fatty acids fish oil that we get from the fish. It's really beneficial. And the CBD molecule that comes from that plant does a whole host of things in our endocannabinoid system. But the bottom line is, when we feed the endocannabinoid system, we begin to balance the pain, the nerves, the inflammation that's affecting the nerves. And so that's why CBD is good for chronic pain, for acute pain, for nervous pain, for musculoskeletal pain. It's because this endocannabinoid system is pervasive. It runs throughout our body. It's the biggest system in the body. So when we feed this system, our pain starts to go away. Our inflammation starts to go away. Many other things. Our pain, in our perception to pain, PTSD, all of these things that we see CBD helping with are helped because of the system we have in our body. So many of you who have joint pain, back pain, arthritis, you have a condition that's already turned into an autoimmune type response. The immune system cannot get rid of the inflammation, say in your shoulder, can't get rid of it. If it can't get rid of it, then it's going to keep sending out these inflammatory cytokines, and it's going to go into an autoimmune type response, which is an automatic, we're sending it out, we're sending it out, we're sending it out. What CBD does, what the endocannabinoid system does, is it brings CBD right into that joint, and it stops that response, that auto response from the immune system. So it's actually an immune problem, not necessarily a nervous system problem. So the endocannabinoid system stops that hyperdrive, that auto response that is in overdrive, stops that response, and then bathes the area in anti-inflammatories and antioxidants. And over time, the body can start to heal itself, especially at night. If we take our CBD, or if we rub on a CBD cream, that area will stop the inflammation in that area. So at nighttime, you can heal. Okay? So going back to the plant itself, this is a beautiful plant. Okay? The one thing that we have to realize is that if you grow the plant with pesticides, if you grow the plant in heavy metals, this plant will pull those toxins in. It's an accumulator. So the CBD marketplace is rampant with CBD that has not been third-party tested, CBD that is not organically grown, and CBD that is heat extracted. And when we talk about a plant or a vegetable that you want to bring into the body, you want to make sure that it's cold processed. When you eat your vegetables, are they more healthy when you heat them up and burn them, or are they more healthy when you eat them raw? When you eat them raw, you don't heat off some of the nutrients, and that's the same thing with CBD. So this plant, we want to cold extract it. So all of my manufacturers at Green Alley CBD, they either have a cryo-preserved extraction process where it's done under extreme cold, or it's done under a CO2, which is a cold CO2. Every time you heat the plant to a certain degree, there's a boiling point for each of these cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, amino acids, vitamins, all these beautiful nutrients in the plant we don't want to heat off. So everything on my website is clean, but it's also been cold processed. to preserve all of these nutrients, okay? So when you're looking for a CBD product, make sure it's third-party tested, and you want to test for pesticides, heavy metals, and aflatoxins. But pesticides, heavy metals, and residual solvents, that was the third one. If those three are on the list, the other aflatoxins will be there too, okay? And then the next thing you want to look for in a CBD product is that it is full spectrum. And again, we're going to talk about the plant. It's cold processed. When it's full spectrum, it means that all the CBD, all the THC that it was grown with, that's in the genetics, are in your medicine. You want it to be full spectrum. You do not want an isolate. A lot of the companies out there take an isolated molecule of CBD and say, here, this is going to work great. Well, there's something called synergy, or the entourage effect. And the entourage effect means if you have a full spectrum plant with all the good genetics and you cold process it, then all that goodness is going to be in your medicine, and that's going to feed your endocannabinoid system much better, okay? So, endocannabinoid system modulates inflammation, brings inflammation up when there's an injury, but within the next hour brings the inflammation down, because when we have, say, a brain injury, a stroke, a cardiovascular event, or we tear or we pop a disc or tear a ligament in our back, the body is always going to send these inflammatory cytokines and then overdoes it. And that's why we get big swelling. And that's why we get big inflammation. If we can quell that inflammation in the first hour or two, the injury will not be half as bad, because the body tends to overdo it. So CBD modulates inflammation, brings in the inflammatory cytokines when we need it, and an hour later, when the injury is done, the trauma is done, brings the cytokine inflammation down, so now we can start to heal. It's kind of like an ice pack. We put an ice pack on right away. So if you were in sports, if you were in a competition and you got an injury, you know, you take a tincture under the tongue right away. You put cream on your shoulder right away. You get hit in the eye, you put cream around the eye. You take the tincture under the tongue and you get rid of the inflammation immediately, so the body can start to heal. Okay? So that's a little bit about CBD. It's a very complex plant, and it's a very complex molecule, actually compound, when we bring it into the body, and it does many things, including modulate inflammation. It's an antioxidant. It's extremely good for the liver, the kidney, the heart. All of our organs benefit from CBD. That's in the research. That's been done for years and years and years. So your doctor will say there's no research. There are 24,000 plus articles on PubMed, which is the medical repository for all clinical data in regards to medical devices and pharmaceuticals and herbs. And CBD from the hemp plant, which is what this one is. It's from the hemp plant, has no THC in it. So it's included in the Farm Bill. It's a hemp plant. It means it's a dietary supplement. It's a vitamin. It's a vitamin in every state in this country. Now, if you get CBD from the dispensary, then that's a Schedule I drug. You're not allowed to take it out of the state. You're not allowed to travel with it. And you could, if found in a state that is not cannabis friendly, be put in jail for a medicine. It's also, if it's got high THC, it's going to get you high. So just like alcohol, it should be treated, the THC, the CBD that you get from the dispensary should be treated like alcohol. It can get you high. Even the CBD, if it's from the dispensary, it can get you high. CBD from greenalleycbd.com cannot get you high. It's from the hemp plant, and it's legal and does not have THC in it. I hope that clears it up. It is very, very confusing, and the government has made it so, the dispensaries have made it so, the media has made it so, and we're not going to get this cleared up for many years, but anything that I sell is legal, and I've got 25 years of medical experience to understand what we need in a CBD product. So, greenalleycbd.com. Thanks so much, and I hope this tutorial was helpful.